A River Nile cruise is not for the faint-hearted. It will delight you, excite you, enthrall you, but it will also shock you, move you, and sadden you. We're going to show you why you will not escape any of these emotions and why you will remember this experience for the rest of your life. This is not clickbait when I say keep watching. We've got a lot to talk about. Hello and welcome to our experience review of our Nile River cruise.
So we sailed on Uniworld on the SS Sphinx, which is their newest ship on the River Nile.
Yeah, they've got two ships on the Nile, haven't they?
Yeah. So this video is going to go over the actual experience of what it was like to be on the SS Sphinx. We're going to talk about our opinions of the accommodation, the public areas, the dining, the signature events that they held, and some of the entertainment and that sort of thing. We've already done an itinerary video.
We have. Basically, the itinerary was so fully featured, there was so much to do, we separated that out into a separate Egypt Nile River cruise itinerary video. We'll leave a link in the top. Also too, we did a ship tour video as well, so we'll leave a link on that, because again, if you just want to have a look around the ship, it's there in detail. This is a review of Uniworld's SS Sphinx on the Nile.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rather than the Nile itself, because we've already done that. Anyway, let's get on with it, shall we? And let's have just a quick montage of
what's to come.
Yeah.
So we'll just start quickly with the itinerary, just to give you a brief cap of what it was like. So we flew into Cairo. We had a couple of nights in the Four Seasons in Cairo. We have a video on that as well. So if you'd like to see more on the Four Seasons in Cairo, then we'll leave a link to that.
Beautiful hotel. Absolutely beautiful. Right on the banks of the Nile.
We then flew to Luxor, so the flight was included in the fare, early morning start, sailed down to Aswan, back up to Luxor, then flew back again to Cairo for another couple of nights in Cairo where we saw the pyramids and things.
But we did. They left the pyramids right till the end, which was quite a sort of nice touch, really, I suppose. You know, you don't want to sort of start with the pyramids and then it's sort of... Well, I say start with the pyramids, you start at the top and then it's all downhill from there, because it's not.
No.
Because actually... during the cruise, it just got better and better. But mind you, it did start off with a bit of a wow, because when we went to the museum while we were in Cairo, when we got there, we saw all of Tutankhamun's artifacts in a room that we weren't allowed to film. It's one of the most photographed things in the world. We weren't allowed to film it, but there you go. All the details are in the itinerary video, so I'm not going to waffle on.
But just to say that this is a very sort of intensive cruise. There's a lot of excursions, a lot of early morning starts. Often we would start the tours at like 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning. So if you're the sort of person that likes to lie in on holiday, don't do the River Nile.
I would say it's more like an expedition cruise than a traditional river cruise, because there's not much time for relaxing.
As the cruise went on, we had more sort of sailing afternoons, but still a lot of early morning starts. So you have to be prepared for that. They tend to, I mean, we were there in February, so it's a bit cooler than some of the sailings, but as it gets warmer in the summer, they tend to get out really early in the morning and get all the
well, we are right on the
done.
edge of the Sahara, so it's pretty barren out there when the sun comes out and it gets really hot. And the Nile River is just a little sort of green strip in the middle of a desert country, basically, isn't it? That's where everyone lives.
But some amazing excursions. Just quickly show you our one memento that we bought when we were there. So we visited the papyrus factory in Aswan, and
can we see that?
We had this. We've got some video.
We got this made, didn't we? That's our family tree, basically.
Yes.
There's Helen and I at the top,
and our 3 children.
And our 3 children at the bottom.
In hieroglyphics.
So that was a nice little thing, a nice little family tree there.
And we watched her sort of sign them out, didn't we?
Yeah, she actually wrote them all in live in front of us. But it's on actual, proper papyrus.
Yeah.
And we're really pleased with that. We had to bring that back with us because it was such a lovely thing. It wasn't in the frame, by the way.
No, yeah, we framed it when we got home.
With that. There's lots to buy in Egypt, lots of sellers trying to sell you stuff. So be vigilant.
We did also buy some cashmere scarves.
Oh my goodness, the cashmere is so cheap there.
Yeah.
I mean, the quality is so good as well. It wasn't just sort of cheap knockoff stuff. It was like proper
shawls and things. It's beautiful. So
absolutely amazing.
Take plenty of money with you.
Take plenty of money and be prepared to give them a bit of a barter.
Haggle.
They do like to haggle.
Yeah.
They do like to barter, don't they?
Yeah.
So that's the Egyptian way.
But the Egyptologists are great. They give you loads of advice about what you should be paying for stuff and what's reasonable and how to barter and things like that.
Do talk to him. Don't talk to him.
Yeah. So they're very, very good.
Probably because that's his cousin and that's not.
The other thing to mention about the itinerary is that you tend to only go out with your Egyptologist. There's not much opportunity to do independent exploration. No. So if that's your thing, again...
It's not really recommended. I mean, Egypt is quite it's a very unique place. You'll find out for yourself when you go there, but we found it to be quite... let's put it this way, you're best to go out on escorted tours.
Yeah. So
I think they recommend that as well.
There's not many places that you dock that you could just go and wander off. Most of the time you're getting onto coaches and travelling to...
Mind you, some people were having to wander around when we were like in the middle of some decent towns.
In like Aswan and things, you could wander off. I mean, there's not much time.
No.
And B, there's not too much to see, is there? So
and you will get hassled a lot by people trying to sell you things. So that's probably the biggest thing to put you off doing that, because you'll just be trying to avoid people all the time. It's very, very difficult. We were told by our guide, don't make eye contact, because that to them is sealing a deal, and so you've got to be quite careful.
When we did have downtime, we'd been getting up really early, so we were quite tired and we just wanted to relax on the ship. So anyway,
with regard to that,
let's talk about the ship.
Let's talk about the accommodation, because you talk about relaxing.
The accommodation on the SS Sphinx, though, we have to say, having done quite a few river cruises, the accommodation here is the best we've had. Most of the rooms on the SS Sphinx are what they classify as a grand suite category, which is what we stayed in. There are a few rooms that are a little bit smaller, and there's sort of 4 suites that are a little bit bigger, but most of them fall within the grand suite category. So that's their main category room, and it's a big room.
It's about double the size of a standard stateroom.
It's absolutely beautiful. So as you walk in, there's a sort of dressing area, a large bathroom with a separate bath and shower, double sink.
All beautifully tiled in a kind of Egyptian flavour. It's really lovely. They must use lots of local materials.
Yeah.
All the furniture in there are all very Egyptian style. It's a lot of natural woods. There's a lot
beautiful Egyptian lanterns.
Colours. I mean, it is fabulous. It's all very kind of out there. It's not subtle. Okay, and as we talk about the ship, you'll find that this is not a subtle ship. You're not going there for your creams and your beiges. Oh my goodness, you're going to put your sunglasses on.
But the rooms have 2 French balcony windows, so that you've got plenty of light coming into the room. The bed faces out to the river, which is lovely. So, you could just lay on your bed and see out to the banks of the Nile. Beautiful. And then in front of the other French balcony was a little sitting area, again with a lovely little seat that you could turn round and just sit in front of your window and watch as you sail along the banks of the Nile. Beautiful.
The view is so lovely out from our bed. We chose to keep our sort of shutters and curtains open overnight, but that can be quite hazardous, because being a river cruise, you never know whether you're going to wake up and find another ship literally docked So you're window to window with somebody else. So just a word of caution, it is actually lovely. And actually, we were quite lucky because we faced the river an awful lot of the time. And actually on the Nile, it was quite quiet at the time. I think they were just sort of coming back into sort of full sort of post-pandemic kind of moving up to high gear. But there are ships that just literally will dock side by side by side by side by side. And so you end up going across 4 or 5 ships.
Very busy river. We've got a video clip of us sailing down the Nile.
Yeah, they're all following us.
Yeah, with so many ships behind us.
Oh my goodness, it is a very busy river.
Very busy river.
There's lots of people doing the Nile River cruise. Yeah. And obviously Uniworld have got 2 of those.
So that's the accommodation. We found it very comfortable. The only thing, other than being careful about leaving your windows open, is there isn't any heating, and we were sailing in February, so it was quite cool in the evenings and early in the mornings. So just be aware of that. Take some nice warm clothes with you for the mornings and the evenings. They did give us some lovely blankets to put on the bed, didn't they? So they were really cosy. So,
but there's no heating on the ship, I don't think, at all, is there?
No.
That's Egypt, basically, because it's so hot. Just a little bit about the ships. The ships on the River Nile all seem to be the same shape and size. I think it must be a regulation thing, or maybe it's the width of the locks or something that you go through. But they are all, if you go there, they are all the same shape and size and a certain style. So any new ships that come along have to conform to that. Or they're older ships that have been basically gutted and redone, which is what the SS Sphinx is. So you won't find anything wild and wacky in terms of ship size and length and all that kind of thing, because they are what they are.
If you enjoy this video and are interested in knowing more about Uniworld's 2 brilliant ships on the Nile or any other luxury cruise, our preferred travel partner is Panache Cruises, the elite ocean expedition, river and yacht style cruising specialists. The team at Panache has decades of combined knowledge and experience in finding the right cruise for you. For a completely personal service, their dedicated Cruise Connoisseurs will be at your side right from the initial inquiry until you get back from your dream cruise. They will help you with every aspect of your holiday, no question too big, no detail too small. Call them now on this number or visit their beautiful website and make your next dream cruise, like the one we've just taken on SS Sphinx, a reality.
So you basically come out of your suite and you've got these lovely sort of corridors and sort of lobby areas on each floor. And it really is a very, very pretty ship, and they have put so much into the detail. Well, I mean, the best thing to do is to watch our tour video for the detail.
We love the decor. It's very Uniworld, very out there, and we really loved a lot of the decor, didn't we?
I mean, if you're used to Uniworld ships or you haven't seen them before, they are renowned for being flamboyant, should I say? Colourful. They're not subtle at all.
No.
Certainly the couple that we've been on, and I don't think there is such a thing as a subtle Uniworld ship. They're all extremely well thought out, actually. Uniworld, because it's a privately owned company, they design the ships themselves. Each ship is absolutely unique. It's like the anti-Viking, I would say, because Viking make everything homogenous. Uniworld, nothing is the same.
No.
So whichever ship you're on, you're going to get a fresh surprise.
Yeah, and it's lovely, and we loved the colours, and we loved all, like I say, all this sort of authentic Egyptian decor and everything. However,
there is a however.
There is a however.
For the sake of balance.
Yeah, however, we did find that it wasn't particularly outside of the suites. The suites were very comfortable, but outside of the suites it wasn't particularly comfortable. The lounge area, which is the main area where you go for pre-dinner drinks, for excursion talks, that sort of thing, bizarre seating. It's like little 2-seater sofas that they sort of move around.
But they're like benches.
Yeah.
They're more like benches than sofas because they are movable, which I can see what they're doing there. So they've got the big open space that they can move around. So if you've got dancing in there, for example, say they move the sofas to around the edge, and if you've got a talk, they can move them into more sort of cinema style. I can see what they've done there, because it's a river ship and it's not subject to sort of any heavy movement of water like you would on an ocean ship. They can do that. So it's a very flexible space,
and it's probably quite authentically Egyptian, the design of the sort of chairs and things, but it wasn't particularly comfortable to sit in.
You know, internal areas are quite almost redundant on a sort of warm weather river cruise, because people prefer to be outside, don't they?
And to be fair, the seating up on the top deck was a little bit more comfortable. We did find a few of the sort of sofas up there that were quite comfortable to lounge on a little bit. There was lots of tables and chairs up on the top deck and not many sort of lounging, so that the odd sofas that they did have, people tended to sort of scrabble towards, didn't they? So, and not many of them were in the shade either, so that made it quite difficult as well.
That's not something that we've experienced with Uniworld before. It's quite a unique ship.
You know, you're not spending much time lounging around, you're out exploring most of the time. And the reverse was true of the furniture in your suite. So, you know, if you wanted to go and relax in your suite, the sofa in there was actually really comfortable, as was the bed. So
it's just something to bear in mind when you're there. That's just our opinion as well.
Small criticism. However, up on the top deck was a lovely pool, wasn't there? Beautiful pool, nice size pool for a river ship.
Well, like the ship, it was unheated.
Yes, so we didn't feel the need to use it. It wasn't really hot enough when we were there to use it.
The outside was very stylish. Again, it mirrored the inside. There was a very specific theme. There was lots of blues, lots of maple coloured wood. Everything was very, very well thought out.
But I think my favourite room on the whole ship was the dining room, which was absolutely beautiful. It was the design and decor in there was just stunning. It was very Egyptian.
Yeah, so much detail.
Yeah, and it was comfortable. Those chairs were comfortable. So the dining room was just lovely. Not many tables for two down there, but it was open seating. So you quickly make friends on an Egyptian cruise, because you're off on your excursions in coach parties with the same people day in, day out. So you quickly make friends with the people that you're sitting there on the coach or whatever. So you go and dine with different people every day. So, but not many tables for two, so be prepared to share a table with some people, but you'll want to. Let's talk about the food, shall we?
Absolutely.
If you like Middle Eastern type food, you will love it. So I absolutely adored the food. It was very authentic, wasn't it? So things like hummus and falafel for breakfast. Olives for breakfast, my idea of heaven. So
there was a station where they were doing omelettes and things like that as well. You can mix and match if you like, but there was these big buffet areas with all the traditional breads and all the traditional, like you say, there's hummus
hummus and olives and
hummus and lots of different those kind of hummusy type things that I can't pronounce.
But breakfast every day was breakfast and lunch were both sort of buffet style down in the main restaurant. They had a cooking station at breakfast and at lunch, didn't they? Where they were doing at lunch, they'd do sort of different speciality type dishes, and then dinner in the evening was a la carte. So
and we know all about the cuisine on Uniworld because we've been on SS Bon Voyage in Bordeaux. Let's not forget here, this is one of the top river cruise companies in the world, Uniworld, multi-award winning, and the cuisine is obviously up there, and the wines.
It was beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I loved the food on board. There was always some authentic cuisine, but there was also, your more traditional style meals, wasn't there?
And it's not an all-inclusive ship. You just certainly got wine and beer with your meals. So it's one of those ones where they were not scrimping in filling your glass up anyway, let's put it that way. They're very, very generous with what goes on at meal times. But if you want a cocktail or something like that, there's a bar service and there's a menu, and you do have to pay for them.
Even soft drinks actually during the day as well, although there is a lovely little tea and coffee sort of soft drink station just off of the reception area, which also had like biscuits and things in it, didn't it? So you could always go and help yourself to drinks there, and they always had flavoured water, cucumber water or whatever, out on the bars, both up on the top deck and the bar in the lounge area. So there was soft drinks to help yourself to, and you had drinks in your suite, in your mini bar in your suite, so you could have them as well. So
and they were included, weren't they?
Yeah.
Because wasn't the Bon Voyage, wasn't that all inclusive?
Yes.
So it struck us as being quite unusual that this wasn't.
No.
For Uniworld anyway. Because it's only a small ship, there's only really one main restaurant and that's it.
Yes.
So you spend a lot of your time there. But they also do some extras during the week.
Yeah, we had one lunch up on the top deck. They did like a barbecue, and sailing.
It was beautiful. Really, really nice lunch, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And, you sat down with friends and it was just such a nice thing to do.
Yeah. And they also serve afternoon tea up on the top deck every afternoon. So you can get a nice cup of tea, and they'd have little sandwiches and little cakes and things.
Overall, the dining is what we expected from Uniworld, with lots of local cuisine thrown in. And again, local cuisine is down to taste, really. So we always tend to dive into the local cuisine wherever we go in the world because, you know, that's part of the cultural experience of visiting these places. And if you go on a cruise and you haven't got local cuisine, I think you're missing out a little bit because it's one of those ones where you try something new. And sometimes it's disgusting. I must admit, sometimes I picked up some of those sort of weird sort of dessert things and not so sure about them.
My favourite was the on the penultimate night they did a candlelit Egyptian buffet, didn't they? Which was just lovely. They turned all the lights off in the main restaurant, lit it with, well, not candles, you know, not real candles, but but like pretend candles. And then they had this beautiful just so really much food, and you just keep going up and getting as much as you like. It was beautiful. So that was my absolute favourite. Moving on from the food, we thought we'd talk to you a bit about the entertainment because that definitely warrants some mention.
Oh my goodness, the entertainment. Uniworld are not shy about bringing local entertainment in, slightly bonkers local entertainment.
Yeah, well, they don't even need that. The crew were just fabulous as well, weren't
fantastic, they? Absolutely fantastic.
So we started off the first night that we were on board with a captain's welcome reception, and
they introduced the Egyptologists. The Egyptologists are key people on board because they're the ones that take you on all the excursions. They have an absolute planet full of information in their heads. They are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You can ask them any question and you get assigned an Egyptologist, don't you?
Yeah. There was three on board, so passengers were divided into 3 groups and you did everything with your Egyptologist in your group. So
and then they used to muck in with the entertainment as well.
Oh, they did.
Most days the entertainment is pre-dinner entertainment. There's not much post-dinner entertainment, and the reason for that is I think that you're so busy during the day, everyone just goes to bed quite early. This is not a Virgin Voyages cruise. You're not going to be up till 4 a.m. dancing in the club. It's not one of those cruises.
No, when you're getting up some mornings at like 4 o'clock if you wanted to do that.
Yeah, again, this is why I think it's more like an expedition cruise than a river cruise, because people are more geared towards like, right, we've got to turn in because tomorrow morning we're going to do this.
Yeah.
And so most of the entertainment is pre-dinner.
The evenings always start with a little talk from your Egyptologist about what you're going to be doing the next day. Another time when we came back onto the ship after an excursion, there was some guys playing some local instruments outside of the ship to welcome us back on, and then they came and entertained us in the evening again. So
just quickly, the 3 highlights I think of the evening entertainment was we had a sort of pre-dinner. Everything was pre-dinner, so I don't know why I said that. We had a folklore show in Luxor. Yeah, well, it's bizarre. It's bizarre. Very lively, wasn't it? Oh, very lively, and they loved audience participation. Oh, yeah. They'll pull you over if you're sitting somewhere prominent. So be prepared to get up and dance and do silly things with bamboo sticks. They got lots of people involved, didn't they? Yeah. But everyone was a good egg, as they say. There's that one where, I don't know, I can't remember what I was doing, but they were... Oh, you did that one, didn't you? Where I had to stand on one leg and do something with bamboo sticks. That's right. And then another one where... In Nubia, we had sort of traditional Nubian show where they were trying to teach us their language, and we all had to like sing. Massively puffed. Don't forget the spinny guy. The spinny guy, unbelievable. I mean, how that guy hasn't just sort of keeled over and died, I do not know. No. Anyway, and then we had the traditional Galabaya evening where we had to dress up as... Such fun. So the Galabaya is the local dress. Yeah, the local dress. They did sell them on the ship. Yeah, so I should have bought one on board, to be honest.
$10 US, I think I paid for my red Galabea, which is lovely. And people were dressing up in traditional Galabean wear, weren't they? And then that evening, the whole evening is organised, and the entertainment is from the crew, who were absolutely amazing. Considering this is on top of what they're already doing. So
they all got us basically dancing all the way through the ship, because we ended up going out into the reception area and all over the place. I mean, it was just a mayhem, wasn't it? Absolute mayhem.
Dancing in the lobby, dancing down the corridors. I mean, that was one night where the entertainment carried on after dinner, didn't it? So we had a buffet evening, and then we were dancing after dinner. And for people that were trying to get an early night, I did feel sorry for them, because we were like playing drums and things.
I know. Yeah, it got a bit mad. But also on top of that, there's the signature events that Uniworld are renowned for. I mean, obviously the traditional sabering ceremony that Uniworld do was present. And so that was fun. And then we had a chef demonstration when we were having one of the sort of afternoon river cruises, where he showed us how to make a local sweet treat.
A little donut.
It was called zalabia.
Was it? Zalabia.
Zalabia.
A little donut ball.
They were lovely.
They were gorgeous and sort of soaked in like honey, weren't they? Absolutely lovely.
Also, we forgot to mention the sort of on-deck fitness classes.
With Muhammad Ali, who was our fitness instructor. He then did...
Did he float like a butterfly?
He was very good.
So we've gone through most of the main stuff now, because obviously the main event of this, as well as the SS Sphinx herself, is the excursions and what you actually see and do in Egypt. So this really needs to be viewed with the other accompanying videos, so you get the kind of really full picture of what we did that week. It was such an enriching week. It was so... I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to move on to a summary of our thoughts for the entire thing from start to finish, not just the river cruise, but the Four Seasons and everything else that we did. And I found it to be one of those cruises that is actually quite... It will live extremely long in the memory. You got to see so many jaw-dropping things.
Yeah, it's not a particularly cheap cruise. It's quite an expensive cruise, because obviously you have to be escorted everywhere. And
we just need to say a little bit about that. The sort of state in Egypt at the moment is safe, but they are very, very precautious when it comes to tourists. They had an incident about 20 years ago now, and ever since then they've been super cautious with security.
Every time you go out, you're escorted by a security guard, and your coach is usually escorted by a police escort as well.
It was a police escort, which might sound quite alarming at first, but don't be alarmed by that. That's just the way Egypt does things to make sure that their tourist industry, which after the Arab Spring and the sort of terrorist incident they had, just one terrorist incident they had, make sure that the tourist industry bounces back, because there is so much to see and do. They want to get people in to see it. Yeah. You know, it's beautiful. So there are these extra sort of levels of security that you have to respect and accept.
But it is a once in a lifetime thing, and definitely do it. But it is something everybody should see once. I did think at the beginning, are we going to get templed out? You know, you see everything every day. You're going to a different temple and you're like, oh, am I going to get templed out? Am I going to be fed up with temples? But we never did we? We never got fed up with them. They were all different. They all had their own stories. The Egyptologists brought them to life with their sort of storytelling around all of the temples. So we didn't get templed out, did we? I'm
going to sort of put a bit of balance in here. What we were keen on was basically the whole experience, because it was so new and different, and you got to see so many things that you read about and see on the TV, you know, for your whole lives, to see them with your own eyes and to appreciate the history and how well preserved everything is as well, is just mind-blowing. Yeah. But on the flip side of that, there's lots of early morning starts. So if you're one for laying in, you might find you're going to miss your tour. Secondly, there isn't much evening entertainment beyond dining. You know, I think Uniworld appreciate that you've got to get up early in the morning. So it's a sort of a bit of a time shift in terms of what you're used to before. But I think river cruises are like that anyway. There's lots of early morning starts for river cruises, isn't there?
Egypt itself is a country of contrasts. Places like Aswan, absolutely beautiful place, but there's also extreme hardship in some of the areas you'll go to.
Lots of poverty.
So I think be prepared for that. I don't think I quite was prepared for how
I don't think we've been anywhere
much hardship
that was so sort of shocking and moving in terms of how people live outside of the big cities. It's just, well, even in the big cities as well.
Yeah.
I mean, take Cairo, for example. I think it's the 7th biggest city in the world, and I never realised that. But it is like a big hot mess. You know, you've got this kind of sprawling metropolis, and it's absolutely massive. And due to planning laws, none of the buildings are finished. If you finish a building, you've got to pay tax on it. So no one ever finishes a building. And it's just mile upon mile when you're driving in of just sort of concrete, and it's definitely somewhere to experience, because it's like, well, maybe it is like a city, you know, but it's certainly not a city I've ever been to that I've seen like that before.
But you go to Aswan and the Old Cataract Hotel.
We do have a video on the Old Cataract because it was one of our excursions, but we made a separate video of the Old Cataract Hotel because it was the place where Agatha Christie stayed and wrote Death on the Nile.
So yeah, the contrast between some areas that are just absolutely stunningly beautiful, and then some areas where it's just extreme hardship, isn't it?
Quite difficult to swallow sometimes, I think.
Yeah.
You know,
I just don't think I was quite prepared for the extreme hardship that people face. Some of the people were living, and some of the places people were living in.
But I think also, in a weird way, it's all part of the experience.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and you've got to, it makes you feel much more aware of what's going on in the world from a sort of very visceral, real point of view, rather than just seeing it on the TV. To see it with your own eyes is quite shocking, but at the same time, well, it just sort of brings it home to you, really, doesn't it? As far as the ship goes and Uniworld goes, this is a review, obviously, about Uniworld and SS Sphinx on the Nile. There's lots of other cruise companies that do the Nile. It's a sort of one of those sort of popular places in the world that most of the large cruise companies go to. Yes, Uniworld have the SS Tosca there as well, which we had a look around, and very different in flavour.
Yeah.
That ship, it's a very sort of dark,
beautiful as well,
dark,
though.
rich woods rather than the light, bright colours. So it was a beautiful ship, absolutely beautiful ship. So I think whichever Uniworld ship you choose, you're going to have a fabulous time, because obviously Uniworld is all about service, cuisine, cultural enrichment. And I just think they plan things and they think of things really, really well, you know.
And a special shout out has to go out to the crew, who were absolutely outstanding. All local people, weren't they? All local Egyptians. And yeah, they made the cruise. They really did.
So, you know, in summary, while the SS Bon Voyage we went on in France was extremely French, the SS Sphinx was, you were all in with the Egypt, weren't you? I mean, with the flavours of the cuisine, the style of the ship, I mean, you know, down to the details of the style of the ship, and all the crew were Egyptian.
Yeah.
It was just extremely Egyptian.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes that puts a massive smile on your face when you come back, because you think, you know, there's no way you've gone on this trip and not immersed yourself in the deepest possible way into the culture.
Culturally and historically, it's a trip of a lifetime.
Absolutely bang on.
Yeah.
Absolutely bang on.
One that everybody should, if they can, try and get to do it. It's just, an incredible experience.
And with that, continue, because we've been talking about a lot of the extra videos we've done. We're going to put them up on the screen here, and continue watching, because you really need to see them. You really need to see them, and watch our other Uniworld video as well, the SS Bon Voyage. You'll see what we mean about how they immerse you in the local culture that on the river that you're sailing on. And with that, we're going to say goodbye, and thank you very much for watching. Please do watch these next. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Bye.